So first of all, really thank you all for coming. This is better turnout than my average lecture. It's pretty awesome. I see a Pritchard contingency here, so go Pritchard today. What is this, P. Rich or something like that? Something like that. Go Penguins. Go Penguins. I mean, a noon lecture. There's not even free food to entice you guys to come. This is pretty special. I told Elaine, and I really have to thank you for arranging this really special thing for me. That I'd be happy if 10 students show up. So you succeeded. Thank you. So this is I was asked, Elaine and some students came up to me and said, Dr. Shah, would you give us a last lecture? And I'm like, a last lecture? I'm not dying. And if you're interested in a really great last lecture, I would suggest you to read this book or watch his last lecture. It's quite good. Interestingly enough, I got an email the other day from one of our great professors at Baylor, where I went to medical school, other medical school in Texas, the less great one. There's a lot of feedback, isn't there? Move this down a little bit. Is that better? So, and one of our beloved professors who taught us cell biology for 30 plus years, his name is Frank Kreitzer, was just diagnosed with pancreatic cancer or advanced pancreatic cancer, and he's giving his last lecture actually tomorrow. So I'm not dying. Okay, so now that we've gotten that done with. So I asked Elaine, so what do I talk about? And she's like, whatever you want to. So, well, you guys know what I'm going to talk about, right? You all know what is near and dear to my heart. The few fourth years who are here, thank you for that the T-shirt. I won't be giving away too much to say that this T-shirt, which was, I must say, one size too small, and my belly will make an appearance in the fourth year film. And I'm not going to say any more because I've been sworn to secrecy. But something about me leading the fourth years in some quest. So I'm actually not going to talk about old people. I'm sorry. I know you guys came here thinking I would start talking about geriatrics again, but I've done that a lot. The current fourth years parodied me for this in their second year roast for basically interrupting every parodied lecturer to say something amazing like old people have kidneys too. But for all the times that I've shown you this logo, old guy, but what else is near and dear to my heart? These guys right down here, the medical students. And so I'm going to talk mostly focused in on you guys. And Dr. Wagner is here, way in the back row. And Dr. Wagner has taught me one very important lesson, which is you must have an objective slide. And your objectives must correlate with your exam questions. And for that, I know you all are very grateful. Why you're here, I'm not sure, because there are no exam questions. However, I will answer these three things. Where are you going? Why are you leaving us? And I think what you guys want to hear is sort of what's your advice for us. And will there be no more geriatrics once you leave here? Please? No. So where am I going? Okay, to answer a couple of questions, because someone I think was about to give me a hat and gloves. I'm not going to Rochester, Minnesota. Mainly because this is what Rochester, Minnesota looked like May 2nd, 2013. I have been told that I have to make some trips to the mothership, but I'm going to arrange them when it doesn't look like this, which I think is like July 1st to July 14th. My kids said, oh, Dad, is that where mayonnaise was invented? So no, not going to the place where mayonnaise was invented. I actually Googled it, and I think mayonnaise was invented like in the 1400s. So here's where I'm headed. I'm headed to the Mayo Clinic in Arizona, and I'll explain to you guys why in a bit. So, unfortunately, the Mayo Clinic of Arizona doesn't have a medical school yet. They'll be starting one up in 2017. So I'm a little bit scared because I'm going to go through withdrawal. As you guys probably know, most of what I do on a daily basis is teaching medical students or clerkship director stuff. I rarely, they let me see a patient, you know. Mostly I just get to torture y'all. And so I'm going to experience withdrawal symptoms. I pulled this off of the internet. I'm a little bit worried about this one and about bone pain. But I probably will have a little bit of anxiety, depression, and mood swings. So I'm going to need some antidote. And you know what you give for benzodiazepine withdrawal is benzodiazepine. So please do stay in touch. For those of you who are 30 years looking at interviews and things like that, mi casa es su casa, I think that's how they say it. But we'd be happy to have you guys at our home. My wife is here, so she's a much better cook than I am, and we have a very large home in Arizona that we just purchased, and we'd love to have you if you come for interviews or anything like that. If you need, and we'll give you more than a couch, I promise. Okay. And please do email me. I'd love to keep in touch with what's going on, or I'm on Facebook too. So why am I leaving? So I'll put all the rumors to rest. A student asked me, Dr. Shah, if we stop sending you more emails, will you not leave? If we stop grade challenging, will you not leave? So this is my wife. These are my boys, Alok and Avi. This is my favorite all-time picture of them. They took this off of self-timer with the camera on our fireplace mantle. And this is us just last week, focused on winning. They're sporty boys. I don't know where they got it from her, not from me, that's for sure. Note the awesome hair. It was windy that day. So this is me too. These are my parents, my mom and my dad. So you know, when you're little, and probably when you're a lot older, you think your parents are going to live forever. And unfortunately for my mom, as many of you guys know, because I've used her in my lectures, this was not the case. She passed of pulmonary fibrosis about a year ago. And many of you have heard her in my lectures, the MS1s and 2s, and I think the 3s too, but especially the 2s and the 3s, because I talked about her in the physiology lecture. And actually got to give her that lecture in the ICU. It was one of my most favorite memories, because my mom had never gotten the opportunity to attend one of my lectures. And so there I was, my laptop in the MICU. We got a lot of weird looks in the MICU at the Brigham. And showing her my slides, and I ran her through my physiology slides, including parts about her, and it was a really great memory. But you know, once a parent passes away, you really think about, you know, time with family, time with the kids, with the grandparents, and it really made me think a lot. One of the nicest things I got was this poster from, I guess that would be the current, I think it's the third years or first or second years. And all the students signed it on the back. I know many of you in this room signed this, and it was just one of the nicest things. It was a day when I just returned back to work, and I was having a hard time. You know, your mind's not thinking straight. You're experiencing grief, and it was just a beautiful thing, a beautiful gesture that you all cared enough to reach out to me at that time. So time with grandparents. This is my dad with the boys, much younger, and he's going to be moving to live with us in Arizona. And this is my father-in-law at the Grand Canyon, and the two grandpas who will now be reunited. It's so cute. This is his personality. Avi is exactly that. And my oldest favorite person on the planet, his grandmother, who all will be together in Arizona. Now, we all have our teams. This is the kind of family pictures we take in our family. I mean, who wants those fake ones? Nisha, you want to hold up your purse? Okay, yeah, so you know what city was eventually going to win out, right? Okay, so this is when we got married in Arizona, the whole family. My brother and my sister and brother-in-law, who went to Southwestern here and was part of the group that started the Multicultural Day, actually, that group of students way back when, and worked in the sub, as it was called back then, the student center. And they live in Boston, so we're going to recruit them to Phoenix, but we'll get everyone else over there here pretty soon. So this will be the Arizona crew. And I'm really excited because with all this family support, I will have more time to spend with my wife at the Grand Canyon. All right. So that's why I'm moving. It's kind of crazy. You can ask Dr. Rubin, but most people have a job before they tell people that they're going to leave. I kind of told them it was probably one of the most difficult conversations of my life that I was going to leave before I even had a job lined up, because really it's really just about the place and getting the family together. So I'm really going to miss it over here. I love the students and I love my colleagues. All right, so back to you guys down here, the students. I didn't know I looked like that. And I made so many funny facial expressions. Glad to entertain, of course, wearing my stage. This is on Parkland Wards. So what's your advice for us? So here's the first point. You are way, way, way too young to be burned out. Being burned out, negativity is contagious. Attitudes are contagious. Mine might kill you. There are people in your class, I doubt that they would have come to this lecture, you may want to avoid. There are people in medicine you may want to avoid. The doctors who tell you, you don't make any money in medicine, it sucks. My life sucks, like, get rid of those people. You have no room for those people in your life. They shouldn't be your mentors. They shouldn't be people you let into your thoughts. Get rid of those useless people. Number two, we are all too young to be burned out. Dr. Selden, if you've ever had the chance to talk with him, is not a burned out guy. Dr. Foster, not a burned out guy. Dr. Cox, ever had the opportunity to work with him on the wards, not a burned out guy. They love medicine. That's who I want to be when I'm 90. You need to remember that getting to be a physician and getting to practice medicine is a privilege and an honor. Dr. Foster's great at reminding us this. We're lucky to have someone like that here who speaks about those things and emphasizes it. But really, if you lose perspective, I'm going to talk a lot about perspective today. If you lose perspective of that, take a break, step back. It's amazing to do what you get to do. And it was amazing that first time when you're a first-year med student, you're like, touch their chest. Oh my God. But now you see the fourth years, it's these things that initially were so awkward and you felt were invasion of intimacy. Now you'll just wear the white coat, and it's truly a privilege. You will become cynical in medicine if you allow yourself to be. Unfortunately, our third and fourth years will tell you they've worked with residents in all of departments, in all of our divisions, who unfortunately are already cynical. They're much too young to become cynical also. It's not like you can just become I'm just not going to get cynical. I'm just going to go through medicine. I'll be fine. It's not possible. This is a hard job. It's an emotionally taxing job. Our patients demand much of us. This profession demands tremendous sacrifices of us. For many of you in this room, your 20s and your 30s. Sorry. It's not too late yet. No, just joking. But it demands tremendous sacrifice. So you have to be able to immunize yourself against cynicism. Well, how do you do this? Well, actually, this has been a huge subtext of the things that I've been trying to teach you guys. You probably just haven't quite put the pieces together in that way. How are you going to do it? Oh, God dang it. No, actually, this slide meant to be there. Why has this been such an emphasis of this? This is the only thing that I've probably put old people in every slide, every talk I've given you. Maybe not. But this has been in every talk I've given you. And why is that? Because the biggest way to guard yourself against cynicism is to remind yourself again, medicine's a privilege, and to get to know each and every one of your patients. And you will quickly call the patient as the CHF-er in bed 12, the blah, blah, blah. People become diseases and collections of diseases rather than human beings. And when you have gone into the social history more than their alcohol, drinking, and drugs, and smoking stuff, you will actually get to know them, some story about them, some understanding of how they ended up in this situation. And then the non-compliant, non-adherent, homeless, smelly person becomes someone who really, had bad luck in life, or, is really trying hard to get out of their current situation. They become a human being rather than a burden on you. You won't refer to them as a rock, a boulder, social dump, a Gomer, whatever else term that you see and have heard your residents use. That has no place. For those of you in this room, and I see some of you who've done wards with me, you know that number one on my orientation document is that every patient we admit will be one of my family members. My family was getting very large, so I changed it, and I made it one of my close personal friends. That's the expectation with which we would want to be cared for if we were in a hospital. And it doesn't matter whether you're in Parkland or our university hospitals or Presbyterian or the VA. That's the way that we should be treating our patients. And how would you begin to treat patients that way? You got to get to know them. And the only way to get to know them is by talking with them, understanding their life story, understanding their circumstances, understanding the competing priorities that, somebody who's worried about whether they're going to get mugged tonight or whether the next meal is coming from or whether they're going to freeze to death tonight or is probably a little less concerned about their A1C than you are. Okay? But you get frustrated. Oh, non-compliant patient. And that, there's no such thing as that. The second way to guard against cynicism. Reflection. So sorry about the reflection essays. Well, actually, sorry that there's only 7, actually. So the third years and fourth years know what I'm talking about. They have had to write all and the second years because we've had the students come back. I may have had a little role in that reflection essay thing. Maybe. In my insistence that this is so important, that this is the most important part of third year. Because this is how we guard against cynicism. There is really hard stuff that happens. In medicine, the compassionate hemodialysis patient who we kill slowly because we don't have the guts to pay for their dialysis or just let them die. Every patient that you see, you can see a scarcity of resources, difficulty with informed consent, feelings of inadequacy of I'm just bothering this person and they're contributing to my education with nothing for me to give them. All these things that you struggle with, and every medical student who's ever lived has struggled with, these things are hard. And you need to spend time thinking about them, reflecting on them, chewing through those emotions, talking with other people about it. Reflective practice is so important. And it shouldn't be just a 7-time essay that you go and submit and blow up my inbox the day before it's due, the second month of every medicine rotation, minus the 5 of you who submitted early. The 5. But I'm amazed at the quality of these reflection essays. And those of us who have read many of them are amazed at the depth of your thoughts and what things you're working through. This is important. You don't need to write it. My reflection place, Nisha knows this, and so does our water bill, is the shower. She sometimes has to knock and say, you okay in there, But that's where I do my thinking and my reflecting, or the drive on the way home. It doesn't have to be formalized. It doesn't have to be structured. It should be something that you do on a daily basis because medicine is hard and you need an outlet. You can journal, you can write, you can do whatever you want to do and just think, meditate, whatever. But if you make this a part of your regular practice, you'll be a better physician and a less likely to be burned out physician. So, how do you be a happy physician? I get that question. Dr. Shah, how come you love what you do so much? Love. And you'll end up loving what you do, or vice versa. I don't know. But there will be many distractions as you go through medicine. There'll be fields that people will tell you, oh, that's such a great field. You don't have to do anything. Sort of nice, good lifestyle. Yeah, right. You have no idea. All of medicine requires sacrifice, no matter which field you go into. Everything is difficult. There's no easy road that's worth taking. But if you really love what you do, then every day becomes a gift. Every day is fun. You have days where you're like, wow, I just spent 16 hours at work. That was exhausting, but I'm really happy. My wife will tell you that the weeks that I'm happiest, but also most exhausted, are the days when I'm on Parkland boards, where I'm working long hours and everything else is, on hold or trying to, and I'm working 2 weeks in a row with no days off, or 4 weeks in a row previously with no days off. You get jazzed up, you get energized. Why? Because you get to be there. You get to take care of patients that are challenging, and you get to teach, and et cetera, et cetera. And so, find the things you love. Find the things that energize you, whatever that may be. And then don't let other distractions, whether that be pay or what other people will think of you, because that field is not considered to be that something that a smart person like yourself should go into, or whatever stupid advice that you get from people that like to talk. Follow your heart. Follow what you like to do. Follow your dreams, and love what you do. And you guys, I know I don't need to talk to you about this because I've truly been inspired by you. I could go on for a long time about all the things that I've seen you all do, the students that I have advised as fourth years. I'm like, wow, how did you get through medical school doing all of this stuff? You know, just amazing. I mean, the designing and innovating healthcare solutions thing that I was able to participate in back when it was designing healthcare solutions, and with just one student and a few of her friends who said, hey, you know, this is a really important thing. We need to work at a bigger level and think about these things. We shouldn't put this on hold during medical school. And then what it turned into, just fantastic. Monday Clinic, which was one of the focuses of designing healthcare solutions in the beginning. Amazing. I mean, you guys find the time on Monday evenings to go out and volunteer, and so many other volunteering things that you guys do. The No One Dies Alone group, which is so inspiring, providing compassionate end-of-life care to our Parkland patients. Just tremendously amazing thing. Just the volunteering and the leadership. And I encourage you guys, keep doing that. Do more of that, because this is what's going to keep your fire burning during medical school and will really give you some passion that say, yes, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to dedicate my life to. This is not a time for CV stuffing. Those days are long gone. And you can pick that up on interview. When I interview for residency, like, yeah, like, okay, great. So you're not really interested in this, you know, that doesn't count. You know, yeah, your CV will look a little bit more generous, but life is too short for that. You know, you got into medical school. You're going to be a doctor, okay? Do what you love and try to figure out with these activities, what do I want to dedicate my life towards? You know, really focus a little bit more on that. And I think you guys here have been just fantastic at that. And I've really been inspired by working with students in these and other groups. So, medical school is hard. And if you can just remember this, you have to have some perspective. It is amazing and a gift, as I said, but you quickly become numb to this sort of perspective giving. And I'll give you an example. You know, so we're on Parkland wards this time. I just got off, and I had my first patient whose date of birth was in the 80s that I signed up for hospice. 32-year-old metastatic colon cancer. You think you're having a bad day? Walk down the hall at Parkland. Pick one patient at random. Have a talk with them about what's been going on. That should give you perspective. Somehow it doesn't. I'm shocked. But it takes 1 second of reflection to say, oh my God, that guy's younger than me, in my case, and is in hospice. We had a 37-year-old who found out that he had a terrible disease at 2 months when his child was 2 months old, and his child is 3 now. And he wanted all this aggressive care, and he wasn't listening, quote unquote, to the team about he was dying, and he kept wanting to go to ICU. But it took just 1 minute of conversation to find out that this was terrible. This is a young person who didn't want to die, wanted to be there for his kid. You know, that gives you perspective. You think you're having a bad day, let your patients give you some perspective. Who you are, I repeat this to the fourth years who I advise over and over and over and over again. No one listens, of course. But that doesn't stop me from being a broken record. I'm pretty good at that. Who you are is so much more important than where you train. Okay? I doubt that most of you know where I went to residency. No. The fourth years do, because I talked to the ones who went into medicine because I advised them and I divulged that information. Does it matter? I now know where I went to medical school, that other medical school in Texas. But did you know before? Do you care? Do any of my patients care? Or no? No. Maybe Dr. Rubin cared when he first hired me, but after about 6 months on the job, he didn't care where I trained. So yes, it opens up doors for you. There are opportunities that happen. But really, calm down. It'll be okay. Who you are is 95% of it, 90% of it, 95% of it. No one is really going to care. So sorry about that. Actually, not sorry. You guys chose well. You came to a cheap medical school. What if you had $300,000 and I had to, I'd be, like if I was getting stuck in Northwestern, I'd be shocked. Bar is much more important than where you train. Next point. You are much more than your step score. Oh my God. Is not a bad step score. How'd you do on the step? Dr. Shah, I did okay. I got to 40, it was terrible. Oh my God, good perspective. The USMLE exam, read it. It's created to be a pass-fail exam. I've been there for question reviews before. They design every question, not like the SAT or the MCAT, to be spread out over this, make sure you can get the 41 and differentiate that from the 39 on the MCAT. That's not how it's set up. It's a pass-fail competency exam that got into this score world because of residency programs, basically. It is designed to be a pass-fail exam. It's designed to be a competency exam. Every question is like, should a competent doctor know this? A competent person at this level in training know this? So there is no difference between a 240, a 250, a 260, a 290. God knows, I'm sure someone here got a 290. Really isn't. And I did well on STEP exams and all that, okay? So I'm speaking from someone who did well, not someone who's a hater because he did terribly, okay? I did really well, and so I have much less faith because it has no relevance to who I am as a physician. There is base competency, okay? That is really, really important. And Dr. Foster talks about this. You need to be a competent physician. If you are not competent without that, you are just cruel and inhumane as a physician. So we must not forget that. We must take medical school seriously and learn as much as we possibly can. But within reason. You can't learn all of everything in medicine within these years. So calm down, relax, do your best, all right? But you're much more than your pass. So it's a pass-fail exam. Pass it. That's it. You are much more than your class rank or quartile. Oh my gosh. I'm fourth quartile. What will come of me? Oh, woe is me. Being in the fourth quartile means that you're the top 1% of the top. So if you're in the fourth quartile of the top 1% of the top 1%, because top 1% is like two, So you are already, by being in medical school, in this group that's way up here. If you're in the fourth quartile of that, that's not too shabby, is it? And of the best medical school in Texas. I can't be too delusional. You wouldn't believe me then, right? So perspective. Dr. Raja loves to tell the story about a student who shall go nameless, who was a fourth quartile student, a terrible student, by step scores and quartile ranking, who was fantastic as a human being, fantastic in her clinical reasoning skills. We took her in our residency program over here. She was a fantastic resident. Not so good at her standardized testing. Who cared? So good, she became chief resident. So good that she's highly successful, well-regarded, and we even try to recruit her back to come here. Okay. You can do anything leaving here, no matter what quartile you're in, no matter what your step score was in. Yeah, there are some things that are harder to get into. Sorry, dermatologists to be. If it's a little hard if you're fourth quartile and have a 200 step score. Yeah, those things are off. But there are other professions that you can be very happy with. There's not just one perfect profession. So yeah, some things might be off the table or a little harder or a little bit more of an uphill climb. But in the end, you're still going to be a doctor. You know the joke, right? What do they call the fourth quartile guy in the class after graduation? Doctor. Right? So do not let all of these things shake your confidence. You should, I see people who are just devastated by their medical school experience that then it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You're awesome. You went to medical school. Here. You succeeded. You passed. You finished. All right. Now the search for the perfect. This is this comes from my fourth year advising stuff, which is around this time of year. So there is no such thing as a perfect medical school. You guys all know this now, right? You know this really well. Those of us who have to read course evaluations and the deans, Dr. Miller, yeah. We know that you know this is not the perfect, but you're pretty happy. There's no such thing as a perfect career path. This drive to find the most exciting, most amazing thing is a little bit of a myth. It's a mirage. Everything is cool the first time you see it. It was so cool the first time I saw someone do a deep brain stimulator. Oh my God, it was amazing. The person goes live and awake and goes, and they're talking to you and you can make the shake and go, amazing. The seventh one I had to see, I knew it was not for me. Okay, now that might totally jazz up someone else. Okay, every part of medicine becomes routine, and it should. You would not want your doctor to find that half of what they do is really exciting and new. That, Dr. Foster would not agree is the definition of competence. Okay. So how do you pick your profession? Because everything is going to be routine and boring. You name me the coolest profession that you've ever heard of, boring. Boring. Even geriatrics. Boring. I'm sorry, but it's true. We do a lot of routine things. Now, the fun part about geriatrics is every patient's kind of new and interesting because they've got like 43 things, and the combination of the 43 things has never been seen before in humanity. So I can at least make them that interesting. But, you know, in the end, it's not that part that's going to drive you. You should love that patient population. Find that you really enjoy taking care of that patient, because you should enjoy the counseling that is involved. Like, if you're going to become a surgeon, you have to do good perioperative counseling, you know, telling people what to do in surgery or what's going to happen to them afterwards, or how to ease their anxieties. If you're anesthesiologists need to be the most touchy-feely humans on the planet. We talked about that on the spiritual history thing. They're the ones who get asked to be prayed with their patients. They're the ones who have to sit with somebody and ease their anxieties as they're about to go under, you know. So yeah, you know, every field that you think, oh yeah, that'll be fine, you know, they don't like humans, they'll just take care of sleeping humans, it'll be okay. No! So you have to enjoy those parts of the job. The counseling, the talking, the patient population, and whatever else it is. The physical exam. You know, like people going to neuro, love the neuro exam. That's good. You can't go into neuro if you hate the neuro exam. That doesn't make any sense, you know? So find your career path, and once you have picked, you think you've picked. But then there's so many options. You can go to industry, you can go to private practice, you can be in academia. I mean, there's so many, even within that, there's so many options for you. So the first decision is not your last, and so relax. You will find your way. Just follow your heart. There's no perfect residency program. I already talked about that. And there's no perfect mates. Except for my wife, of course. And I didn't just put that in because she's here. She really is perfect. No, really. I mean, the reason I've been able to be a workaholic and dedicate so much time over here is my wife has given up her career. She's a pharmacist. She could have gone very far in that field and everything else. But to make things sane at home, she sacrificed a lot. So she deserves a lot of credit for my ability to give you guys so much. So, great people make great places. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, Dr. Shah, what about the Brigham? That's where you sent your mom. You know, well, yeah, we had a great lung transplant program. And yeah, they have really fantastic physicians there, really great residents. But it's the people that are great. These places are four walls. They don't make great people. And if you lose sight of that, you're lost. So be great. And go wherever you're going to go. And you'll be awesome. Places do not make you great. You are great and go somewhere else. Same thing is true for marriage. You know, going in looking for the perfect person is not the answer. It's you be great and give as much as you're going to receive. All right, reread your personal statement. Really, do this. One of my college's students did this recently, and she was super smart, could have done anything, but you know, her goal was to become a primary care doctor. And she went back. She reread it, came to me and said, you know what? I know I'm being advised that I'm super smart. I should be doing something else. I could do anything. But I'm going to follow my heart. I'm going to follow what I started this journey for. And it was really nice. It's what she decided to do. And I really congratulated her on her. And she was so happy to have followed her heart. So reread that, assuming you meant it. When you're picking a fourth year, when you're picking a residency position or other things like that, give personal considerations huge weight in your residency ranking. That's really, really important. Dr. Raja does all of the advising of our couples matching, because you know that Dr. Raja and his wife went to medical school here, and I occasionally hear him singing this song to students who are coming for fourth year advising, and he sounds just like this. All right. I wish I was making that up, but Dr. Raj and I have more than one occasion have had to tell students that if they're going to couples match, they might want to make sure that couple is pretty serious. And Dr. Miller can tell you a story. She's nodding down here. Of people who have couples match and then ended up not being a couple anymore. And yeah, it's not good to end up in Rochester, Minnesota, with someone. You can't avoid them. It's all like everyone like goes in these subterranean tunnels. You know, you just kind of yeah. But you know, if you have a significant other, or if you have family, or if you know what's really important to you and what recharges your battery, these things. Because remember, your happiness, how you are, means a lot more than does where you train. I picked my residency because we were able to triplet match, actually. My brother-in-law, who I showed, who went to medical school here, and his roommate, there's no such thing, okay, before I get emails. But we picked a residency program that all three of us knew that we could match to, and we chose to go there. Our spouses, all of the three of them not in medicine, never had to have a meal alone. We all lived in the same apartment building in a high-rise downtown Chicago. We're like friends because my sister is married to him, and it was all this crazy stuff. But the nice thing was I had this built-in support structure. And my oldest was born when I was a third-year resident. And it was great. We had built-in babysitting and everything. But most importantly, that's why I was a happy resident, because everything else was taken care of. I didn't feel stressed out. I had a built-in support structure. Sometimes students are willing to jettison that entire support structure if it's important to you. Now, some of you may not want to stay where your family is because that's a source of stress, okay? And that's okay. You just have to know that. You have to give that appropriate weight. But, having your mom do your cooking or your laundry when you're an intern once or twice is a really nice thing. And I don't know how you put that into your spreadsheets, and you guys will have spreadsheets. I get the spreadsheets. Dr. Shah, how should I rank these, Like, oh my God. 99.6 versus 99.2. So really medicine training is very long. It is very hard. You cannot wait for it to be over to start your life. You need to nurture those relationships that you have. I'm not talking about Facebook hitting the like button. I'm talking about picking up the phone, going to your nephew or niece's ball game, or these small little things. People will give you a pass. You guys have already learned to use that pass. He's in medical school. You can do anything. I could get away with anything in medical school because my mom or dad would say, but he's in medical school. Don't bother him. Like any task, any chore, my sister would get pretty upset. Don't abuse that. Relationships will last. They'll be okay for a little bit, but then the strain will hit. Lots of people get divorced during residency. It's a hard time. You need to nurture these relationships. You need to make sure you make decisions that are going to nurture these relationships, because it's really hard when you're a resident to say, yeah, okay, this person's okay, but I'll just move across the country and I'll find someone else new, when you really thought that there was something there or something else like that. I know a lot of people won't give you advice about your love life or other things like that, but these things are important. Your happiness in your future life, if you decide to pair up with a significant other, is really that's going to determine more than even your work life will. You have to just get lucky like me, I guess, but really it's not about luck. It's about making sure that it's a priority and making sure you nurture these relationships. It's incredibly important. Don't forget that as you go through training. So, how do you do it? Do the best you can with the time you have. You got to put boxes around things. You can always study more. You can study 24/7, 365, and still not learn medicine, and someone will know more than you. I guarantee it. It's okay. You'll learn it. That's why medicine training takes 2 decades. You will get it. You will continue to learn. You will continue to learn every day. Every day I'm on Parkland Wards, I learn something new. You can do it. You just have to do it with the time you have. And probably most importantly is to be grateful. And I'm going to end with this. My wife and I have a saying whenever something happens or whatever not, we just say thanks be. It's like our little gratefulness, like rather than just be grateful. I mean, this is a wonderful virtue to have and a way to be in this world. Be grateful to everybody. Now, I have been very fortunate because of my ability to stand in front of you and be kind of a more visible faculty member. I have been overwhelmed with the gratefulness that has been shown to me. And things like, Go Pritchard, this was, I think, year 1. Penguin, not bad, Penguin. So my face has been tortured. This is really because my wife doesn't like facial hair, and I got to wear a beard for 2 months of my life. It was pretty awesome. The gratefulness continued. Inviting me to Holy, this was a lot of fun. This was a blast earlier last month. And this is me saying, don't tell Dr. Fitz, this is not an approved use of the UT Southwestern white coat. I have been caught. What are they going to do, fire me? Oh, yeah. It was an old white coat which had stains, okay, so no one called Dr. Fitz about destruction of UT Southwestern property. And I have it. I will wash it and give it back to you if you use it. So, of course, I have to bring it back to old people a little bit and talk about it a little bit. And no more geriatrics. Yeah, right. We've got you surrounded. You all know many of these folks as colleges mentors. Dr. Rubin, of course, who's in the back over there. Dr. Kirk over here, who both of them have been fantastic mentors, great people to work with, great mentors, and great examples of the kind of physician that I'd like to be, the kind of teacher I'd like to be, the kind of leader I'd like to be. And, you know, the three of us were the co-PIs on the Reynolds Sage grant together. And, of course, Dr. Roche, who can not love Dr. Roche and her Irish accent and the way she has minded all of you, as she would say. And Dr. Vicioso, of course, who will definitely, if you don't wear pantyhose, call you out on the wards. Women. Sorry. And men, if you don't wear a tie. I mean, she keeps us up to standard, okay? And talks to us about professionalism. So watch out. She's sitting right here, okay? But she reminds us of the professionalism of medicine on a daily basis. Dr. Rhodes, palliative care expert, doing research in healthcare disparities. Dr. Amy Johnson, who will take over some of my things in colleges, the social history and other things. Dr. Tara Duvall, who does house calls. Natalie Gary, who does house calls. And of course, Tom Dalton is coming. He was one of our medical students. He and his wife went here. One of our chief resident, went to Duke, and he's coming back. So really excited to have him. So we have fantastic geriatricians who are coming down the pike, and we were interviewing someone today and interviewing another person tomorrow. So we're in growth mode. So not to worry, you will not be left alone, and the Sage logo will live on. So, in summary, do what you love what you do. Even if it happens to be old people. If anything, and I know I do this, and the third years know this, and the fourth years know this, that I give a little lecture in the third-year medicine clerkship and ambulatory, and I ask them, you want to admit you get an 18-year-old and an 81-year-old, and how many of you want to admit the 81-year-old? How many hands go up? One. Sometimes two, and sometimes zero. This is with me, the clerkship director, sitting there telling them knowing that I am Mr. Sage, but I give them points for honesty. You know, that is part of the ethics code and the honor code, so I do appreciate that. But that's not my goal. That was never my goal. We are doing better. We have 2 brave souls usually every year or so in recent years, sometimes more, that find that my passion is their passion. My job was never to make you guys all love geriatrics. I hope that you'll remember some things that I have taught you, like not giving Benadryl to old people or something like that, or just something reminds you that, hey, maybe this old person's not a collection of diseases. I can just show them a little extra compassion, give them an extra 5 minutes of my time. That would be wonderful, because you will interact with them. Maybe at the grocery store if you go into pediatrics, or in the healthcare setting for the rest of you. But that was never my goal. We're doing better than the national average. There's about 0.5 medical students per medical school, you know, cut them in half, I guess. But only about 90 people choose geriatrics as a profession. So that's okay with me. That was never my goal and my measure of success, or what I was trying to inculcate on you. Whatever you love, wear it outside, wear it proudly. You know, be passionate about what you like, whatever that might be. Because I know you guys are tremendously talented, and I've seen that passion in other arenas, and I've seen what you guys are capable of. Actively immunize yourself against cynicism. Get some perspective on a daily basis, and reflect about that. And remember who and what is truly important. So stay in touch. Let me know, again, seriously, if I can do anything, even just providing you a meal and a place to stay during the expensive residency interview times. And I really thank you all so much for your time and all this turnout. It's really wonderful. Thank you so much. All right, now let the fun begin. Onward. Go Pritchard. And I will not be a traitor this year, I promise. Last year, somehow I got roped into some Fushina skit, and I'm not going to do it this year. Not going to do it.